The worst part of getting E. coli in Peru is getting E. coli in Peru. I'm 19 days in love with everything on my great travels up the hillsides in the hot springs and down the terraced ravines of South America's most keenwood country. My Peruvian love affair, now husband, Jorge, travels with me, moving from hotel to hostel or sleeping in country buses. And it happens. My stomach starts to feel like it's folding in on itself like a collapsed supernova into massive black hole bellyache rage. And all of this because I ate the street food. I'm somewhere in central Peru surrounded by large flared-out rainbow-colored skirts and thick back-of-the-throat Spanish. We're on a bus tour of Peru's Colca Canyon, close-kneed together on a combi, little kid's school bus struggling up and down slender dirtways. We pass skinny mules pushed by skinny men. At the canyon, standing on the yawning cliffside, it's the world's second deepest. Raised eyebrows, mouth open, I try to lean over the steepness of the rock face and see the bottom. Somewhere, lost down there, is a river. Jorge leans into me. Wanna eat something? I've seen my share of I Shouldn't Be Alive or whatever TLC show recounting the sneakiness of parasites, and I glare, don't think so. I decide at this elevation I am not okay with getting sick. I watch Jorge walk in a procession of barefoot men and bus drivers, talking with a large chola woman stirring tin pots of delicious and dangerous food. She sits with her large skirt water falling down the back of the stone-stacked fence, that division between us and the earth's open mouth. Jorge eats silver forkfuls, chewing hungrily white shreds of chicken and cilantro green rice steaming in the cold of 14,000 feet. I think back to earlier in the morning, breathing fog in the near-frozen dining hall of a ramshackle hostel, with my sparse breakfast of mate de coca, dried coca leaves sleeping fatly at the bottom of a Minnie Mouse teacup, and one piece of warm bread. And now I am silent and staring. Give me a bite, I give up. Don't think so, he says, pushing his warm, salted breath in my icy face. Shut up, give it to me. He hands over the long, slender coolness of his fork, and I pick one large bite onto its water-stained prongs and raise sweet grains, oily and green, and chicken in long pulls to my mouth. Whatever, I think. We stack back on the bus, and almost immediately I think I have Sarroche altitude sickness as I watch the magisterial, unrelenting stretch of the Andes into Bolivia. I feel the muscles on the back of my head tighten and nausea all the way into the backs of my eyes. I'm grateful it's cold and open my window in the bus, freeze everybody out behind me. We stop somewhere almost an hour later, dusty. I'm bent forward in the bus seat, then bent forward in a restaurant chair, and finally I'm bent forward on a jagged stump. I stare at the dirtiness of my shoe toes and then at the sign above me. It reads Chivay. I remember the tour guide. Chivay is the Inca town of sex. Chivay is a happy town. And try to talk myself out of crying. No one cries out here, I think. No one's ever cried because of anything out here, and I'm not going to. Then, in a brief moment of lucidity, I realize I'm sitting on the last 6 inches of a cut-down tree in some place 4,000 miles south of anything I know. I see there are 3 roads laid out in front of me, all of them equally earth-colored and empty. And I begin to cry anyway, wrapping the arms of my sweater around my abdomen, trying to stop everything from eroding. Jorge finds me out there vacillating between too hot and too cold. I'm going back in the bus. I throw the words up. He follows me, somehow carrying a roll of hard white bread. Sitting in the sticky sickness of cold sweat, I chew in bird bites. I close my eyes, trying to get lost in the rhythm of chewing, trying to ignore the 5-hour bus ride ahead. There is a quick bounce of the engine starting, and I spend 300 minutes holding my stomach in, keeping my legs tightly crossed and my hand pressed against my throat. Back in Jorge City, Arequipa, I drink warm Alka-Seltzer. It tastes like hot spring water irritating the soft of my throat. Doris, Jorge's mom, walks me legs like an old man 3 blocks down the uneven street to a doctor. I'm flat-backed on a raised twin bed made examining table as the doctor pushes and massages the sore hardness of my intestines. I sound like a brook, like water on rocks. He stands, framed by the largeness of a painted picture of Jesus. Eat lots of fruit, and everything will pass. I don't understand, trust, care, or mistrust what he tells me. I feel like staying there and sinking into the coolness of hand-washed sheets. That night, I try to rest, but I curl up and extend like a bicyclist until morning. Sweating the mattress, I pull the covers off the bed and walk blindly across the house to Jorge's room. I think I need to go to the hospital. I cry hot tears. They hurt my eyes, and the salt that touches the sides of my mouth makes me sicker. I reel around the back of the family car 10 minutes until we get to the hospital. Sweet nurses ask me simple questions in Spanish, lead me by my elbows to a sheet-covered room. Doris pulls my shoes off and rubs my feet, talking to me in low tones about things I won't remember. One sweet nurse comes back and asks Doris to step out, asking me then to relax and lie on my stomach. Relájate, necesitamos tu temperatura. One woman with white shoes and laces dirty like they've been walked on pulls the butt of my pants down. Even though I'm sick, I still manage to be deeply embarrassed. I feel all of a sudden like I'm lying half naked in a vet's office. We find out I'm 103 degrees sick, but they tell me in Celsius and I don't know what any of it means. They steal small vials of my blood and handing me a wide wooden popsicle stick, they ask me for a stool sample. I feel like my face is falling off of my head, moving mechanically from hospital room to hospital bathroom to hospital parking lot. There I find a mother in Doris and the third world strongness of Jorge's shoulders as they help me to the car. And then I sleep, finally, for what feels like months. Todo pasa. After days of chewing 2 sweet fruit, caldo blanco, white broth, and taking huge pink antibiotics, I feel an outstanding passing. The tarring of my stomach, the total destruction of my lower half, passes out the back of Jorge's 2-story earthquaked home underneath Peru's volcanic smooth stone streets and miles away and out into the poorest, dustiest places in the world.